Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another dev vlog. And we have some fun topics to talk about today. But before that, I wanted to just do a small audio check or microphone check, I guess. Can you guys hear us? No one. No one wants to talk with us.
What about me? Can you hear me? We are definitely live. I can see the stream on YouTube.
Yes, same.
All right. Thank you, Telephone Squid. We are apparently audible.
All right. Great. Perfect. Cool. So this is the second dev vlog. Welcome back, Rich.
Number 2.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Excited to hear about these controversial things and the new features and stuff. Maybe it's
controversial. No, there's no controversy here.
I need some sound bites for the YouTube shorts, you know.
Yeah.
Should we get into it?
Apparently you are much quieter than I am. I don't know if that means that I need to shut up a little bit or if
I am increasing my audio levels a bit.
More Kev.
Yes. Oh, hello. Maybe now.
All right, there we go. I think we're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right. So, what is this TypeScript versus Java? JSDoc thing that's been trending on Twitter?
Oh my god, it was. I had a day in which my Twitter mentions were basically unusable through no fault of my own. I did not start this particular kerfuffle, but I did give an interview recently to a publication called The New Stack, and talked about some of our plans for Svelte 4. And I mentioned that one of the things that we've decided to do is migrate away from TypeScript in the Svelte 4 code base and to use JavaScript instead. And there's some nuance there that I failed to adequately communicate. And so this article went out saying Svelte 4 is moving from TypeScript to JavaScript. And people were like, hang on, surely it's the other way around. Is this a mistake? And I said, no, it's not a mistake. That is true.
Was that meant to be a bit spicy, like a bit of a hot take?
No, I don't think it is. I mean, maybe it is a hot take insofar as like a lot of people are very much on board the TypeScript the language train, and I am less so. But I think once people experience the workflow that I'm about to describe, most people are sold on it. And in fact, like every time this conversation has come up over the last couple of years, when I've described this way of working, initially people have been very skeptical, but each time there's been less skepticism and more people saying, actually, yes, I do this too, and it is fucking brilliant. So, maybe this is going to be the way of things. And certainly with the proposal from the TypeScript team, or championed by the TypeScript team, to add types to JavaScript as comments. I forget the name of the proposal, like type annotations or something.
Yep.
I think we are maybe moving towards a future in which JavaScript can be written in a type safe way without the overhead of annotations inside JSDoc comments, which is what we use. So basically, my position is types are fantastic. TypeScript is a bit of a pain. And what I mean by that is types are great because you get type checking, obviously, prevents you from shipping buggy code. You get IntelliSense, you get the autocomplete, and if you hover over something in your IDE, it will show you inline documentation. There's all these really very convincing benefits of using types in your code base. But as soon as you use TypeScript, by which I mean a .ts file, then you have to have the tooling to support that. In particular, if you're building a library in TypeScript and you're using that library in a separate project, you can't just kind of go into your node modules and fiddle about with the code base and expect it to run. Like, you're going to have to rebuild the code. And there's all of these points of friction that get added when you use a non-standard language like TypeScript that I have come to believe makes it not worth it. So instead, we put our types in JSDoc annotations and we get all of the type safety, but none of the drawbacks because it's just JavaScript. Everything is in comments. And so you can just run the code. And so this is what we do inside the SvelteKit code base. And it's worked out fantastically. And for Svelte 4, we're going to do the same for Svelte because it's going to enable us to move much more quickly.
Yeah. So the current Svelte code base is in TypeScript then?
The current Svelte code base is in TypeScript. Yeah.
Yep. So moving to JSDoc. Yeah. I mean, it's funny that we're talking about this because I was building this tiny like progressive enhancement action the other day, and I started out doing it with TypeScript, and then I was like, but I want to copy this in and try it in the REPL, like with some random stuff that I have, and that's one reason to just use JSDoc, I guess.
Yeah, that is another great reason. Copying and pasting code and just like guaranteeing that it will work anywhere. Like, yeah, maybe the REPL should support TypeScript. That would be a nice feature. Sure. But then, we would have to load TypeScript in the browser. Like, I don't know if you've ever gone to the TypeScript playground. It takes a minute to boot up because it has to download this like very large chunk of code in order to convert your TypeScript into JavaScript. Yeah. And like, if we had to do that in the Svelte REPL, it would slow everything down. So yes, you could make that argument, but knowing that you can take your code anywhere that JavaScript runs and try it out, whether that's the REPL or Chrome DevTools or the Node REPL or whatever it is, it's just so much nicer.
It really is, like just sending code and not having to worry about all of the setup and stuff.
Yeah, I do mean to write up how we've set this up, because every time I talk about this, people are like, that sounds interesting, but how do I get started? How do I do this? And the answer is it's pretty simple. Like, you just need
use JSDoc
tsconfig.json. Well, no, so you're still using TypeScript, and you should have TypeScript installed in your package as a development dependency. And you want to have a tsconfig.json in your project as well, and then your IDE can see your TypeScript configuration. It can even use your local TypeScript version instead of the editor's built-in version. And you need to add the allow.js and check.js true properties to your tsconfig.
Right.
And that's kind of all there is to it, I think.
It doesn't sound too bad.
It doesn't, but like, people want to have it.
Yep.
In a way that they can crib from, which is fair. So that is one of the many items on my to-do list.
All right. That sounds exciting. So is anything else about the TS versus JSDoc drama? That's not really drama. Not really.
I just want people to try it and see for themselves. I guess part of the thing is, this advice is primarily aimed at people building code for consumption in other contexts, i.e. library authors. It's less beneficial if you're building an application as opposed to a library, because if you're building an app, you're going to have a build step anyway. You're going to have a dev server, you're going to have a build step because, you want to optimize your code, you want to minify it, you want to remove dead code, you want to like bundle everything up, and like,
especially with Svelte being a compiler, right?
And with Svelte,
can't get away from it. So
yeah, but even if you're not using Svelte, if you're using Vue or if you're using JSX, then like, you're gonna have a build step unless you're like one of the people who would have been like breaking down the weaving factories in the 19th century. Like, unless you're just so completely culturally opposed to having any kind of build step. And you probably live in the woods in a tent, then like, fine, okay, you get a pass. But everyone else, like, you need a build step. So at that point, like, maybe you may as well use TypeScript, because then you get the like probably better syntax. A few people prefer the JSDoc syntax, but most people prefer the TypeScript syntax. So in that case, use TypeScript, go with God. But if you're building a library, then that is when I really strongly urge people to consider using JSDoc instead.
Cool. So one thing I thought about is this also good if you get into a situation where you have multiple versions of TypeScript and stuff, or is that not that might not be relevant? I don't know.
It's not relevant. In general, the TypeScript team are very conscious about backwards compatibility, even though they don't
Right.
adhere to semantic versioning. They are conscious of like their position in the ecosystem. And so they will very, very rarely ship breaking changes, particularly to the code that is emitted from the JavaScript compiler. So from the TypeScript compiler. And like to a lesser extent to the actual type checking itself. But it's still a possibility. There's nothing stopping the TypeScript team from shipping a breaking change. They have done it before. They will almost certainly do it again.
Oh, exciting.
And like, I think most people who've been writing TypeScript for long enough probably have some war stories about this. Whereas if you're writing JavaScript and you're just
Not going to be a problem.
the languages that are supported everywhere, the constructs that are supported everywhere, then it's not going to be a problem. So that is another reason to just write JavaScript.
All right, cool. Yeah, so next topic. You want to talk a bit about the new tutorial, or I guess it's called Learn now? Are we going to change the name or?
No, I think we're going to keep it there for now. Maybe I should share my screen for a minute.
Yep.
So people can have a little look-see. So the reason that, oh God, Google Chrome would like to record this computer screen and audio, open system settings. I thought I did this last time.
I feel like you did this last time, yeah. Oh, we could do it again.
Oh my God.
Could be like a ritual for us.
You know, I think I was sharing it. I think I was sharing Firefox instead. Maybe.
Yep.
Right. Will people get mad at me if I leave and
no.
come back? One sec.
I'll do a monologue again. We did this last time, right? So
keep the troops entertained. I'll be back.
No problem. Yeah. So what is everyone doing? Are you all entertained by me not having much to talk about on my own? So it looks like people are talking a lot about TypeScript in the comments, ESM, Babel, using the platform. Yes, the classic Mac OS permissions dance. We did this last time as well, which is funny. Are you talking about my mustache? Oh, that's scary. Hello again, Rich. Are you back?
Hey.
Julian, the mic I'm using is a Shure something. It's the one that all the podcasters use. Just search for Shure podcaster mic or something. All right, I think we can see your screen now. Yes.
Great. Okay, so I've shown this to people before. This isn't wholly a new thing, but it's something that I'm working on a lot at the moment because, shameless plug, I am doing a front-end master's course next week.
Woo!
There's going to be a Svelte course on Wednesday and a Svelte Kit course on Thursday. I think I've got those dates right. I will tweet otherwise if that's not the case. And those will be free to attend on the day, and then they'll be for front-end masters subscribers afterwards.
That's awesome. So last time you did a Sapper and Svelte one a couple of years ago, right? And that was all in one day, right?
Just Svelte didn't get that was the original plan. Svelte in the morning, Sapper in the afternoon.
Oh, right.
No, yeah. I chronically misjudged how long it would take to get through the material, and so I had fed way too much. And
so now we get 2 days.
Not do. So it's 2 days. So the first day is all going to be about Svelte, and the second day is going to be about Svelte Kit. And both of them are going to use the existing educational material that we've got here quite heavily, which is good because it's acting as a forcing function for me to actually finish it. Something that I've been trying to get around to for a long time. And so I've been working on this a lot lately. Last night I was redoing the slot example.
Could we increase the font size a bit? Do you think?
Sure.
Just one. Yeah, cool.
Seen American Psycho? You know, the scene where they're exchanging business cards. Well, I thought it would be fun to recreate that in CSS. And so this is the kind of dumb shit that I'm doing when I should probably be working on other things.
Speaking of CSS, have you seen that the Wolfenstein thing?
Yeah.
Did you know it's Wolfensvelte? Sorry. Did you know it's just CSS? It's not WebGL. I think
I know it because someone told me.
I think I might have posted it in some channel.
Possibly, but yeah, it's pretty badass. I can't shoot Nazis in it yet, but maybe that's
at some point.
Yeah.
Sorry. Tangent there. Go ahead.
Yeah. So learn.svelte.dev is coming along. We have 4 parts. Welcome to Svelte, Introduction to SvelteKit, and then Advanced Svelte and Advanced SvelteKit. The first part of these, Welcome to Svelte, is pretty much done now, and I'm working on Advanced Svelte right now. And then we've got to get the SvelteKit exercises written up. But this is very close to being able to take over the old tutorial.
Nice.
I'm not yet sure if it's going to live in the same place or if it's going to continue to be here and we're going to redirect the old tutorial to here. Those are details that we haven't fully figured out, but this is very close to replacing the existing tutorial, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, it's nice that we also get the SvelteKit parts, right? Because we couldn't do that with just the REPL, right?
Could not do that with just the REPL. Yeah, this is way more sophisticated as a platform for building these sorts of things. Even in the Svelte only examples, like here, this font that we're using is a custom web font because I wanted to get the right typeface from the movie. And you can't do that with the existing fonts. You can't do that on the existing tutorial because you can't load files. But here you've got the full power of a SvelteKit project, and that includes the ability to load assets like fonts. So yeah, I'm very happy about this. I want to give a massive shout out to Forgive Pronunciation Tomoam, who has been fixing issues right, left, and center on learn.svelte.dev, making it faster and more robust and nicer UX and everything. Just banger PR after banger PR. It's been absolutely fantastic. So
that's great.
I don't know if you're watching, but thank you. It is so appreciated.
Let's see if we can find a link to their Twitter or GitHub at some point and put it in the
github.com/TOMOAM.
All right. Yep. I'll have to find that later because I'm just terrible at doing this live. All right. Yeah. So there are a bunch of stuff you can go to learn.svelte.dev, and I assume as the week is going by, you'll update and add more stuff.
That's the plan. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Anything else on the learn.svelte.dev?
No. I don't think so. I think just go and check it out. If you see
especially
bugs,
the card, the business card one.
Yeah.
Very nice. Cool. Dominic G in the comments, shout out to StackBlitz for slimming down the web containers. That's a good shout.
Which Dominic G? Is that a segue?
Oh, it's the no, it wasn't. It was the other Dominic. The OG Dominic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess that's a good segue.
It is. All right. So stop sharing my screen. We have some really exciting news. We have snagged Dominic Gannaway, legend, to the Svelte core team. Dominic has joined Vercel, so he's going to be working full time on Svelte alongside me and Simon. Although all the work is still coordinated through the Svelte Discord.
Right.
And this year we're planning to do, as I've probably mentioned in the past, a big overhaul of the Svelte compiler. And Dominic is like arguably the best qualified person on the planet to help with that work.
Yeah, he made Inferno JS, right?
He made Inferno. So but back when I was mouthing off about how no virtual DOM library could possibly compete against a compiler-driven approach,
Right.
because the compiler can do all of this clever static analysis stuff. Dominic just sort of casually built this virtual DOM library called Inferno, which just demolished everything else in the benchmarks, including Svelte. And that's because like he knows his way around JavaScript engines in a way that most mere mortals simply don't. And so we're really excited about being able to pick his brain and use his expertise on optimizing for JavaScript engines, but also like the best way to implement reactivity.
Right.
He's also got a wealth of experience on accessibility topics and things like that. So welcome, Dominic.
Yeah.
Really,
Exciting.
really fantastic addition to the team.
That's awesome. So 3 people working full time on Svelte now. That's
Yeah.
quite an increase from just a couple of years ago, right?
It is, but it's also confusing as hell because we now have two Dominic G's.
Oh, right.
And we haven't yet figured out the best way to disambiguate
DG1, DG2. No, it sounds like robots or something. All right. Well, maybe we can have Dominic on at some point as well during the devlog when he has gotten settled into the Svelte life, I guess. Yeah, cool. And the next topic, you wanted also to talk about the Vue transition API. What's
this about? This isn't like an official thing. I opened a pull request on SvelteKit this morning. Hadn't really discussed it a whole lot with anyone beforehand, so I don't know. It might get bike shedded into a different form, but I wanted to share it because everyone's very excited about Vue transitions at the moment. The team at Google behind the Vue Transitions API had a town hall yesterday with framework authors. I was there, and the idea was to share notes on how the API works and like what frameworks like Svelte and SvelteKit should be doing to allow people to use the Vue Transition API in their apps. And on one level, it's just like it's a low-level DOM API. You could use it however you want. But on another level, it turns out that in SvelteKit today, it's a little tricky to use the Vue Transition API for a navigation. And the reason for that is when a navigation occurs, if you have a before navigate hook, then that will get called. And then we'll load some code and data. And then if you have an after navigate hook, that will get called. And so you could start the transition here and then complete the transition here, and then the browser would take over everything else. But that gap could be like a noticeable amount of time.
Yeah.
That is a problem with the Vue Transition API specifically, because what it does is it will take a screenshot at the beginning of the elements that are transitioning. And it essentially freezes the DOM until you kind of release it at the second stage. And so the DOM would be frozen while your transitions are happening. And you can imagine if you've got a video playing or something like that, that's a really sucky user experience. So we needed to add a new hook. And what I added today, what I opened a pull request for, is a hook called onNavigate. And maybe I can actually do a little live coding here to demonstrate what I am talking about.
Have you prayed to the gods before? The live demo gods?
Oof. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Okay.
Let's see here. Add to stream. There we go.
Okay, so I'm going to create a new project. npm create Svelte Vue transitions. The that later so that it actually works. Install that. We'll use the demo app. We can use TypeScript with JSDoc comments, obviously.
Oh.
I'm going to add prettier. Okay. And if I now install my dependencies,
Could we get a
element server
font size increase here, maybe?
Yes. Well, let me fire up the demo first. I'm using Chrome here because this is only supported in Chrome right now. Hopefully other browsers will follow suit, but for now this is like classic progressive enhancement stuff, which is to say that if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's fine. So one thing that we need to do in this demo project here is we need to link the development version of SvelteKit. And I can do that with an override here. So this is what happens every time someone submits a bug repo on SvelteKit. I basically go through this process to link the development version. And as we were talking about before, because SvelteKit is distributed as vanilla JavaScript, makes it super easy to try out new things like without the normal headaches of linking packages in development. So this is a pretty nice workflow. So I'm just going to install that. Let me start. Okay, now I'm going to bump up the zoom on the page as well so that you can see this closely. If I click between these pages, you can see that there's this little orange indicator at the top of the navigation bar that moves to indicate the currently selected page.
Yep.
All well and good. What the View Transitions API allows us to do is, for example, it can animate the movement of that smoothly,
right.
Instead of it jumping from place to place. And you could do this without the View Transition API, but the API makes it a lot more convenient. So let's see if I can remember how to implement this. If I get stuck, then I can always crib from the pull request. In fact, why don't I open that so that I can refer to it instead of embarrassing myself.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
We'll see. Okay, so first things first, we need to import the onNavigate function. Not sure why that also completed weirdly there.
OnNavigate, that sounds new.
OnNavigate, this is a new thing. Copilot thinks we're scrolling. So as I was saying, before navigate calls, it is called at the calls the callback that you pass to it at the very beginning of a navigation, and that gives you an opportunity to cancel it if you need to. For example, if you have some unsaved work or something like that. After navigate is called after the DOM has been updated, which allows you to, I don't know, apply any new data or like remeasure the DOM or whatever it is you need to do. On navigate gets called immediately before after navigate. First thing we do is we check that we're in a browser that supports this API. If start view transition does not exist, then we just bail out. But if the document start view transition API does exist, then we can return a promise from onNavigate that will fulfill once the screenshot has been taken of the DOM in its current state. And so unlike the other lifecycle functions, this can return a promise that will actually delay navigation. So you've got to be careful that you don't do it with a slow resolving promise or a promise that doesn't resolve at all. Document.start view transition. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky because let me see if I can remember how to explain this. Document start view transition takes a callback that is invoked once the screenshot has been taken. So that process is asynchronous. And then from that callback, you need to return another promise that fulfills once the DOM has been updated. That is your signal to the browser that it can now apply the transition. So it will take the screenshot, it will take the new live DOM, and it will transition between them. All right. So the way that we do that is we return a new promise from the callback, and the at promise calls the original fulfill function. Okay. Is that incomprehensible, or does that make sense?
Oh, promise and a fulfill.
Yeah, it's kind of brain bending, but maybe we'll have some like higher level helpers that just do all of this stuff for you.
Right.
But you only need to do this once. So we can do this in the root layout, and then this will just always apply a view transition whenever there's a root change in your application.
Oh, nice. So, why wouldn't you want to do this all the time then? Like, why wouldn't this just be built into SvelteKit?
Super good question. And I've been having some lengthy conversations with Jake Archibald about this very topic. Jake is a human boy working at Google, self-described, on web standards. And he is the visionary behind the View Transitions API. And so part of the reason that we had this session yesterday was to collect like exactly this sort of feedback. And I think it probably would be quite nice if this did happen automatically. But if it did, then this would happen. Oh, no, it doesn't work. What am I doing wrong? Let me refresh the page, see if I'm missing something.
It's the live gods again.
Curses. That was going to be such a dramatic reveal.
Do you have the CSS?
Well, so that's the thing. What I was going to show you was that in the absence of any custom CSS, what you will get is the entire document crossfading.
I see.
Which, is not what you want. Why is that not working? Do you know what? It's I figured it out. It's because the JavaScript isn't working at all. Do you see down here the request URL blah 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 is outside of Vite's serving allow list?
Right. Yeah.
That is because in the Vite config we haven't added this, which I need to do because SvelteKit is no longer inside the project. It's no longer inside node modules. It's inside like a directory that is nearby.
Yep.
So I just need to do this.
All right.
And okay, so now we have now the JavaScript is working. It's I mean, I think it's kind of a testament to SvelteKit that I didn't realize straight away that the JavaScript wasn't working on this app.
Yeah,
for sure. Like it falls back, but not great when you're trying to demonstrate some JavaScript features. Okay, so recap. We've added this start view transition call on every root change, and we haven't changed any CSS, and as a result, it's crossfading the entire document. Hopefully everyone can see that.
Is that like a standard transition thing that Chrome does?
Yeah, by default, there is a thing called a view transition name that is applied to the entire document. And whenever there's a view transition name, it will start taking screenshots and doing all of the funky transition stuff. Gotcha. And so the first thing we need to do, because we don't really want this crossfade, it looks kind of naff. So I'm going to go into my styles.css here, and on the root, I'm going to add view transition name none. Right, by default, it would be this. This is the UA style sheet. But if we put none here, then we revert to the normal behavior.
Yep.
But in order to get that indicator moving across, we're going to need to add a view transition name to that element. So we're going to go into the header.svelte and go down to the styles where that is defined. It's this little pseudo element here.
Yep.
I'm going to add view transition name, and I'll call it indicator. You can call it whatever you want, really.
Yep.
And now.
Oh, nice.
Like one line of CSS.
Yeah, you didn't even have to do anything.
Or 2 lines if you include the disabling the root transition.
It's basically nothing.
It's so easy.
It's nuts.
Like, so there are limits to what you can do with the view transition API. It is like CSS and web animations API based. So there are some things that are going to be like a little finicky if you want to do some super advanced stuff. But for most cases where you want transitions and you can express them declaratively in CSS, this is just so easy. Like, why wouldn't you put this on things like nav indicators? If it's not there, it doesn't matter. But it's just nice. So
it's whimsical, right? It's very nice.
So I'm really excited about this API coming to the platform. I hope that other browsers follow suit soon. Fantastic job, everyone who worked on it. And if that PR gets merged, then that is all you'll need to do to enable it. And like, if you have thoughts on like better APIs, or if there are things that we should be doing by default instead, then the PR is on the SvelteKit repo.
I have it up here. I can post it.
9605. Come and have a look and let us know what you think.
I mean, it's way too easy to get that little indicator moving. It's nice. All right. Yeah, that's cool. So when is this going to be supported by all of the other browsers, though?
Yeah, we'll ask them. I genuinely don't know. I feel like it's probably not top of anyone's priority list, unless people start using it, of course, because browsers do take usage of these features as a signal about what they should prioritize. So if people are using this in the wild a lot, it'll happen sooner. But for people to use it in the wild a lot, frameworks kind of need to support it, and so that's we're doing our bit. Trying.
That makes sense. It's going to be hard to get Apple to do this. I mean, the better Safari Apple gets, the more
been on a roll lately.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like definitely.
There's so much cool stuff that Safari have added recently. 16.4, Safari 16.4 is going to add the necessary APIs that we can enable web containers, which means that learn.svelte.dev will work on iPhones, which is pretty nuts.
Oh, that's crazy. Have you built it to be responsive and
it's responsive? So for a long time it didn't work on mobile because we were using Monaco for the text editor, and Monaco just doesn't work on mobile. But there's a fantastic library by a fantastic developer called Marijn Haverbaker, again, forgive pronunciation, which allows you to do text editing in a super accessible way that also works on mobile. And it's a fantastic library, like incredibly lightweight, beautifully designed. Like the API takes a bit of getting used to, but like once you figure it out, it's just lovely to work with. Whereas Monaco is like, it gives you the full power of VS Code in the browser, pretty much. It's just unusable. It's so difficult to work with. Like the documentation is atrocious.
Right. The API surface is way too big.
Yeah. Monaco is too much power for mortals to wield. But CodeMirror, it's just so lovely. And so we ripped out Monaco and we've put CodeMirror on learn.svelte.dev, which means that you can now use it on a mobile device. But because you can only use Safari on iOS devices, and because iOS does not support web containers, you won't actually be able to see the result of what you're editing. But in Safari 16.4, we're going to be able to enable web containers, and
that's exciting.
So like you can learn SvelteKit on an iPhone or an iPad. Like how crazy is that?
I mean, an iPad that'd be a really great like workshop kind of environment teaching device. Could be nice. So we have a comment here from Joaquin Sanchez. I have no idea if I said that correctly, but he says that Daniel Rowe, who I coincidentally met at CityJS last week, he was very nice, announced that Nuxt 3 also supports this, or is going to support this.
Nuxt is taking a bit of a different approach. They are like adding their own primitives around view transitions, whereas the approach that at least I've taken in that PR is we're not going to like put any opinions on this stuff into the framework. We're just going to give you the hooks to enable you to do it yourself. And so like it remains to be seen if we do need to be a little bit more opinionated, like Nuxt is being. Again, weigh in the PR.
Is the spec finalized? Like for the view transition API, like, because that's also an issue, right? Is there even a spec for it, like, or a what's it called, W3C thing?
So in classic Chrome fashion,
Ah,
they've released it's in stable Chrome now, which means that any changes are a web compat issue,
right.
which effectively means that the spec,
It's
like
final.
regardless of whether or not it's finalized, is the way it is the way it is. So, for example, that thing about like the default crossfade document transition actually probably being undesirable in a lot of cases, we can't change that because it's a web compat issue.
Yep.
So we'll see, but there is more to be done. There are going to be changes to the API that will happen in a non-breaking way. There's some talk of having a similar API that is scoped to a specific element as opposed to being at the document level.
Container transitions.
Yeah, so you could do some pretty funky stuff with that, like have multiple element transitions happening simultaneously. So yeah, I would say it's not finished and finalized, but it's also not going to change. Like you can use it fearlessly.
Yep. All right. Well, very exciting. I look forward to using web apps that are as cool as like native iOS and Android apps, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to help with that a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's. I think that's it for all of the topics that you wanted to talk about. If I didn't miss anything here, no?
I think so. Yeah. There's so much happening in Svelte land at the moment, and like we don't have time to talk about all of it. But
yeah, I just thought I'd bring up the newsletter here and just show people that there are a bunch of new like features that you can check out. I haven't had time to look at all this yet, but it looks fairly straightforward. This one looks interesting. I have no idea what that is, but
this feels so good that we're now like able to merge some of the pull requests that have been on the Svelte repo for so long, because I've been so focused on SvelteKit that Svelte itself has been the neglected stepchild for a while. But just lately, Simon has been an absolute powerhouse going through the PR backlog and getting everything ready to merge, and then merging all of this stuff. And
yeah,
obviously that wouldn't be possible without everyone submitting those pull requests in the first place. I'm just so happy that we're finally able to release these features.
Yeah, and you can see that here as well. Like it's what's new in Svelte, what's new in SvelteKit. Like the size of the categories or
right,
like the sections, I guess you'd call them. But yeah, all right, cool. I think that's it. Unless there are other stuff you want to talk about.
No, I think we covered the juicy stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll do this next month as well. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye. Oh, there's my hand. Let's see. And broadcast.